Number 7. Shiny Deceptive Pebbles. Imagine you're standing in a jewelry store, palms sweating, staring at a rock that costs more than your first 3 cars combined. You've been told that this clear little pebble is the ultimate symbol of eternal love because it's rare, indestructible, and biologically required for a successful marriage proposal. Except it isn't. Diamonds are about as rare as a guy named Dave at a construction site. Your brain has been meticulously hijacked by a century-long marketing campaign that would make a cult leader jealous. Back in the late 1800s, huge diamond mines were discovered in South Africa, and the British investors realized that if they actually sold them at market value, diamonds would be worth about as much as a nice set of marbles. So, they did what any rational billionaire would do. They formed a monopoly called De Beers and choked the supply. They didn't just control the rocks, they controlled your psychology. They invented the 2-month salary rule out of thin air, convincing your grandfather that if he didn't drop a small fortune on a pressurized chunk of carbon, he didn't actually love your grandmother. From a chemical perspective, a diamond is just carbon that got bullied by the Earth's crust until it turned translucent. When you buy one, you're participating in a massive psychological experiment where the value is entirely hallucinatory. The second you walk out of that store, the resale value of that diamond drops faster than a lead balloon in a vacuum. Try to sell it back to a jeweler and they'll look at you like you're trying to trade them a half-eaten sandwich. The industry relies on the fact that you will never sell it because it's an heirloom, which is just fancy talk for, this is an illiquid asset that we tricked you into overpaying for. Basically, your romantic sentiments have been monetized to support a global supply chain that thrives on the fact that you can't tell the difference between rare and strategically withheld. Number 6. Fancy tap water. Some people have a genuine fear of the liquid that comes out of their kitchen sink, as if the local municipality is pumping liquid tetanus directly into their homes. Instead, they go to the store and pay a 2,000% markup for water that has been put into a plastic bottle featuring a picture of a mountain it has never seen. Bottled water is perhaps the greatest heist in human history. Your brain perceives the plastic crinkle and the pure branding as a safety signal, but in reality, about 40% of bottled water is just tap water that has been put through a slightly better filter and given a pep talk. You are essentially paying for the convenience of the bottle and the privilege of polluting the ocean simultaneously. Think about the physics of this for a second. Water is piped directly into your house for fractions of a penny. To get it in a bottle, a company has to pump it out of the ground, often from a drought-stricken area, wrap it in oil-based plastic, put it on a massive truck, and drive it to a refrigerator where it sits until you decide you're thirsty. The energy expenditure is astronomical for a product that you already have on tap. We've been conditioned to think that premium water tastes better, but in blind taste tests, people regularly choose tap water over the stuff that costs $5 a litre. Your nervous system is being tricked by the halo effect, where the sleek packaging makes your brain think the liquid inside is somehow more hydrating. It's not. It's just H2O that's wearing a tuxedo it can't afford. Number 5. The golden cable. Lie, your brain hates the idea of a weak link. When you buy a fancy 4K television that's thinner than a slice of deli ham, the salesperson will inevitably try to sell you an HDMI cable that costs $100 because it's gold-plated and high speed. They'll tell you it provides deeper blacks, more vibrant colors, and will probably fix your marriage. This is a scientific absurdity. HDMI is a digital signal. It is a stream of ones and zeros. It is not an analog signal like an old-school radio where interference causes static. In the world of digital signals, the information either gets there or it doesn't. There is no middle ground where the ones look a bit curvy or the zeros look a little depressed. If you use a $2 cable from a bin at the thrift store and it works, it is providing the exact same image quality as a cable that costs as much as a night out in Vegas. The gold plating is purely decorative. It's the jewelry equivalent of putting a spoiler on a minivan. Your TV doesn't care if the data traveled through a cable wrapped in braided nylon or a damp shoelace, as long as the bits arrive. The psychology here is the investment trap. You've already spent $1,000 on the TV, so your brain tells you that spending another $100 is just protecting your investment. In reality, you're just tipping a multi-billion-dollar corporation for the privilege of being lied to. It's a digital placebo that serves no purpose other than making the back of your TV look slightly more expensive to the dust bunnies living there. Number 4. Exploding movie corn. Imagine paying $12 for something that is 90% air and 10% the stuff we feed to livestock. Movie theater popcorn is the undisputed heavyweight champion of the markup world, often seeing a price increase of over 1,200% compared to its raw ingredients. The cost of the actual kernels in a large bucket, which is roughly the size of a standard trash can, is about 20 cents. Throw in some butter-flavored topping, which is basically just yellow-dyed industrial lubricant, and you're still looking at a production cost of under 50 cents. Yet, we line up to pay prices that would make a fine dining chef blush. The psychology here is fascinating because it relies on the sunk cost of the experience. You've already paid for the ticket, you've sat through 20 minutes of trailers for movies you'll never see, and your brain is screaming for a dopamine hit. The smell of the popcorn is chemically engineered to trigger a hunger response that bypasses your rational mind. You aren't buying food, you're buying a sensory accompaniment to the film. The theater owners know this. They don't make their money on the movies, they make their money on the fact that you can't resist eating salted cardboard in the dark. It's the only place on earth where corn is more expensive than actual gold by weight, and yet we feel like the experience is incomplete without it. Your lizard brain sees a big bucket and thinks abundance, while your wallet sees a vacuum and thinks help. Number 3, the wedding tax. If you call a caterer and tell them you want to host a dinner for 100 people, they'll give you a quote. If you call that same caterer and tell them those 100 people are going to be wearing suits and dresses while watching 2 people say, "I do," that quote will instantly double or triple. This is the wedding tax, a phenomenon where the mere mention of a nuptial ceremony causes the price of everything from flowers to photography to enter low Earth orbit. The psychology behind this is predatory but brilliant. It leverages the once-in-a-lifetime fallacy. You are told that this is the most important day of your existence, so any attempt to be frugal is framed as a lack of love or a sign of impending failure. Vendors know that when you're in wedding mode, your rational brain has been replaced by a frantic squirrel that is terrified of Pinterest-induced shame. They justify the cost by citing extra attention to detail, which is usually just code for, "I know you're too stressed to argue with me." You'll pay $500 for a cake that would cost $60 if it were for a retirement party, simply because it has a plastic couple standing on top of it. Your brain is convinced that the quality of the marriage is somehow tethered to the price of the centerpieces. In reality, you're paying a massive premium for the emotional weight of the event, not the labor or materials involved. Basically, your romantic idealism is being used as a credit card with no limit. Number 2, the placebo of Logos. You are standing in the pharmacy aisle with a pounding headache. On the left is a bottle of brand name pain reliever for $15. On the right is a generic bottle with a boring label for $4. They both contain exactly 500 milligrams of acetaminophen. Not similar amounts, the exact same molecule, synthesized in the same way, often in the very same factory. Your brain, however, is a snob. There is a documented psychological effect where people actually report faster pain relief from the expensive brand name drug than the generic one, despite them being chemically identical. This is the placebo effect on steroids. You've been conditioned by decades of commercials to believe that the trusted brand is more powerful. The pharmaceutical companies spend millions on the font, the colors, and the fast-acting claims on the box, which are often just marketing fluff. Your biology doesn't have a sensor for logos. Your liver doesn't care if the pill came from a shiny blue box or a plain white one. It's going to process that molecule the same way regardless. By buying the brand name, you are essentially paying an $11 marketing tax to help the company buy more TV ads to trick more people. It's a cycle of expensive delusion where you pay extra to feel better about the fact that you're paying extra. Your nervous system is throwing a tantrum in honor of a trademark, and your wallet is the one taking the hit. Number 1, the final upsell. Your brain is at its most vulnerable when it is grieving. This is something the funeral industry has understood for centuries. When a loved one passes away, you are suddenly tasked with making high-stakes financial decisions while your prefrontal cortex is effectively offline. This is how you end up in a selection room looking at caskets that cost $10,000. The salesperson will use phrases like protective sealer or memory foam mattress, as if the deceased is going to complain about back pain or the humidity. These are features for the living, designed to alleviate your guilt, not provide any benefit to the person in the box. A casket is, at its core, a wooden or metal box intended to be buried in the dirt. The sealing features actually accelerate decomposition in a rather gross way, but they are sold as a way to preserve the body, which is a scientific impossibility in the long term. You are pressured into buying the premium model because the alternative, a simple pine box, is framed as being disrespectful. It's the ultimate exit tax. You're paying for the comfort of your own conscience, mediated by a business that knows you won't haggle because it feels wrong to bargain hunt for a funeral. It's a bizarre human behavior where we spend the most money on the one room we'll never actually check out of. You're essentially buying a luxury SUV with no engine that is destined to be parked underground forever.